Right. Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Black Professionals Network in Conversations with series. Now, as you know, our theme this year is Dare to Dream. And over this series, we've been speaking to some Black and ethnic minority leaders who have dared to go after their own professional goals in various industries. Now, our vision here at the BPN is to empower all Black and ethnic minority professionals to go after their dreams, to advance in their careers so that they can reach their full potential. Now, to help me do that today, I'm going to be speaking to Stephanie Boyce, the president of the Law Society of England and Wales. Hello, Stephanie.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm very excited for this conversation. So I'm going to kick it off by asking you to tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got into it.
Well, absolutely. So can I say I'm delighted to have been invited to partake in this podcast. So I am the president of the Law Society of England and Wales, the Law Society being the representative independent body that represents some 200,000 solicitors in the jurisdiction of England and Wales. So the purpose of the Law Society, of course, is to be the voice of solicitors, to drive excellence in the profession and to safeguard the rule of law. And, you know, we do this by influencing for impact, lobbying government, speaking out for justice and so forth. But also, just to put it into context, you know, I took up my role as an office holder of the Law Society of England and Wales in July 2019, and I became president earlier this year. And in doing so, I am the 177th president, the 6th female, the first Black office holder, and the first person of colour to become president in the Law Society's almost 200-year history. A remarkable achievement, wouldn't you say?
I completely agree. That's an amazing achievement. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hence, you can sense my excitement having you here.
I can feel it. I can feel it through the computer. I can feel it.
So, Stephanie, in your career, tell me, you must have come across the challenges or barriers that get in the way of us trying to get to where we want to get to. So, what strategies have you used to overcome those barriers or challenges in your career?
Well, absolutely. You know, I'm first generation British. I am, you know, the child of parents, grandparents who came from the Caribbean, I say, in search of faith, hope, and greater opportunities. You know, I grew up in a single parent household from a working class background. And time again, I was told that because of my low socio-economic position, you know, a career in law wasn't for me, you know, and to think about alternatives. But I was determined. I was determined that I was going to be a lawyer, and you know, and I wasn't going to take no for an answer. So right. I applied that same tenacity, that same determination and resilience to my approach to becoming an office holder. And as I say, 4 attempts. You know, 4 attempts it took me to be successfully elected as deputy vice president. And once you're elected as deputy vice president, you then go on to become president some 2 years later. But of course I faced barriers. You know, I faced barriers, as I say, because of my low socioeconomic position. Then when I went on to, I faced financial barriers, but I was able to overcome those, you know, and I was lucky in a sense, because at the time I did not have to pay university tuition fees. I received a maintenance grant from my local authority, but I did have to find funding to put me through law school. And when you don't come from those networks that you can ask questions, because I didn't know a lawyer, I didn't know anybody who was in the, you know, the legal field to ask those questions. And, you know, Google and the internet and whatever else wasn't that, you know, one didn't go on to the internet then and type, you know, who's doing loans for the legal practice course or the SQE. You really had to do your own research. And I was fortunate to come across a charity called the Windsor Fellowship, who was able to answer some of those questions for me and point me in the right direction.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's great. I'm so glad you continued. I think resilience has actually been quite a strong theme throughout these conversations. So that inspires us, the younger generation, these professionals that we are in our network, to emulate that resilience. Do not
Absolutely.
give up. 4 attempts. That's remarkable.
4 attempts.
That's remarkable.
But you know, the thing about it is, Kiki, I would have kept going. I would have gone a fifth, a sixth.
Yeah.
The measure is, as I say, not in how many times you got knocked down. The lesson is in how did you get up?
That's right.
My determination, my thirst, my hunger was such that, as I say, I would have kept going until I got it. I believed it before I achieved it.
That's right. So that's what I want to ask next. So what drives you to keep going? What is that drive? Where is it coming from?
Self-belief, a belief in myself, a belief that I am just as qualified, just as able, capable as anyone else. I start my day with a positive affirmation. Throughout the day, I tell myself, and I'm quite happy to share that positive
Please share.
affirmation.
I was about to say, I want to hear it.
I tell myself each and every day and throughout the day that I am a masterpiece, a prized possession, fearfully and wonderfully made, fully equipped and qualified to run this race that has been designed for me. And that is my absolute steadfast belief that, my burning desire, my dream, my passion, and if you have something that is keeping you awake at night, whether that be, an idea, a dream, whatever it is, if it's keeping you awake at night, you've got to birth it, you've got to give it life. And so for me, because nobody else, as I say, first person of color, first Black office holder, only 6 women presidents, it was ripe for the picking, ripe for me to step into this space. Second in-house solicitor to become president that I am as well, and to be visible, to be in this space, on this platform, to be visible, because if you can see it, you can believe it.
That's 100% true. And that's why we're bringing you here, because we want people to see you so that they can believe if she did it, so can I.
Absolutely.
So thank you for not giving up. And I've written down your affirmation. I'm going to be stealing that. I am a masterpiece.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. So now I want to ask you, what has been your greatest growth moment in your career and what events led to it?
I think for me, every day is an opportunity to grow, to develop, to learn. When you stop, I was recently out in Dubai, and I met with one of the education authorities out there, and we were talking about, CPD, continuing professional development, and there it's continuous, and it's regulated, whereas we've taken a more flexible approach here. But, the director spoke, passionately about the fact that he believes that, every day is an opportunity to grow, to learn, to develop. And for me, that must be the case, because when you stop, when that passion, that hunger for wanting to learn, to grow, to develop stops, then, one has to ask yourself, why, what's going on here? So every day, every person I meet, everything I come into contact with is an opportunity for me to do better, just become better.
I love that. I mean, if you're not growing, then what else is there?
Absolutely. You cannot you cannot sow a seed in the ground. You expect it to grow because you've sowed it,
Exactly.
So, that's what we owe to ourselves. We owe it to ourselves to continue that lifelong learning and then to pass that information on, because we must lift as we climb. And of course, yes, I have stolen that from colleagues from years back, but I absolutely believe that we must lift as we climb. And that's why I do what I do in the space that I am blessed to be in. Is to ensure that I'm visible, because I promised the Law Society many things, but above all, 2 things: that I would be visible and I would take the Law Society to places it's never been.
Amen.
And I hope that I have done that.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so now we're getting a little bit more personal. Now, if you were to summarize your life, highlighting 3 key influences, situations, or people that have shaped the person that you are today, what would you say?
Well, no doubt my grandfather, Henry Nicodemus, who is no longer here with us, My grandfather told us that we were supposed to make something of ourselves. He never said what. Um, but wherever he is, I hope he's looking down and he's smiling and he knows that I have done that. But my grandfather was illiterate. He was so poor that he dropped out of school because he was embarrassed. He had no shoes. He had holes in his clothes. And so, for me, as I say, to take forward his legacy, he is one of those individuals. Seemingly, history is riddled with so many people who have gone before, whose shoulders I absolutely stand on, who have made that crooked road a bit more straighter, a bit more smoother, so that I and others can walk down it and hold our heads high. And to all the people in my life who have lifted me up. So I know that's not specific other than my grandfather, but there are so many people, so many different influences, from my upbringing to my experiences. And I think that's what makes this, me being in this space even more so, that it resonates with so many, because I've lived so many of those experiences. Somebody said something to me the other day, and I said, look, I still have people in my own family who are unable to access justice. That is my reality. That is my lived experience. And I bring that to this table. And that's why I, speak passionately about the fact that legal rights mean absolutely nothing if you don't know when those rights are being taken away, or indeed you don't even know what those rights are. And that's why public legal education is a big key priority of mine as president. And
100%.
beyond.
100 public legal education, 100%. No, I completely, if you don't know what your rights are, how would you know that it's being taken away? How would you even know what you were saying about accessing certain information? If you don't even know they're there, where would you look? That's amazing. 100%. That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that. So now I want to ask you to brag about something. So it doesn't have to be from this particular role, but what impact have you made in your professional career are you most proud of?
What impact? I think, well, there's been a few, but I'm absolutely proud to serve as president, as I say. I was proud to become, to get qualified as solicitor, proud to obtain my law degree, proud to obtain my master's, and all the other qualifications that I went on to achieve. I'm absolutely proud and committed to the work I do. But, a couple of things stand out for me. I recently did an interview with Channel 4 News, and I thought they were going to cut out the bit where I start to get a bit emotional and the tears well up in my eyes. And that's when I was asked the question, what does it mean to you to become the president of the Law Society of England and Wales? And it's fair to say, Kiki, that it still takes my breath away. Oh. It still takes my breath away, because I know from the feedback from people who get in contact with me how much it means to them. And we do what we do because we are committed. We are absolutely wedded to the idea that, that everybody, we want to see equality of opportunity, regardless of your background, your race, your gender, sexuality, disability, whatever. We want to see equity. That's what we want.
Thank you for sharing that. Just to give you a bit of context, for me getting emotional, I studied law as well. I was called to the bar in 2012. Wow. So we are of kindred spirit, and what you're doing is amazing, because it's not the easiest industry for one to succeed in. And here you are standing there at the top of the pyramid, waving that flag, telling all of us to climb up. So thank you. So the next question is, what practical advice would you give to our BPN network members to inspire them to dare to go after their own professional dreams and achieve what they really want to achieve?
Well, we know that networks, look, I could not have got to where I got to today without those networks, those allies, those sponsors, those mentors, known and unknown. who advocated for me, who supported me, who, as I say, held me up when perhaps I had trouble getting to my feet. So what I would say is use those networks. You know, when I was a junior solicitor, I was given a piece of advice, and that was to network. I didn't really know what it meant then, but you know, and when I was joining all these committees, as my mate said, they said, "Why are you joining all these committees and doing all this work for free?" And I said, I've got a plan. I didn't quite know what that plan was, Kiki, but I said, I've got a plan, just wait and see. And when I joined, you know, because money is, you know, reward comes in different forms other than just monetary. And when I was joining all these different committees and volunteering for free, what it allowed me to do, I got to work with some of the best legal minds that this jurisdiction had to offer. I got to sit next to these people who heard from me, who got to know me, who got to see me work, you know, in practice, and they remembered me. And so use the resources available to you, use the networks, get out of your comfort zone, even when it's dark outside, raining outside, and the time will come again when we can get out, we can socialize, we can network. You know, somebody said to me the other day, a fellow council member, bless her, she said to me, I'm taking every opportunity to get out and be visible. She's like, I'm not holding back anymore. And she said to me that she wants to become the first disabled president of the Law Society of England and Wales. And I said, go girl. You know, and that's the whole point. You have to get into action. You know, this didn't fall into my lap, sat at home waiting for it. You have to get into action. So as I say, use the resources available to you, the networks, the support you need to further your careers. You know, the Law Society does a lot for its members with our divisions, with our communities and committees. That's on our website. But, you know, it's important, as I say, to demonstrate and show flexibility, to step outside of your comfort zone, to really push yourself and challenge, and keep adapting and changing. You know, as our markets and clients change, we too must change.
That's just fantastic advice. I've made some notes here. So guys, when you watch this, I hope you are taking notes. Thank you so much for that advice. Network, be visible, step outside of your comfort zone. Those are the ones I'm definitely going to be doing. Thank you for that. So now that we're coming towards the end of our time together, I want to ask you, what's your favorite quote?
Gosh, I've got so many. Somebody did say to me the other day that I should copyright this quote. But one of my favorite quotes is that every door is open if you push. You persevere until something happens. But, you know, that's one of my favorites. My other favorites are, as I say, we must lift as we climb. I absolutely believe in I believe in the law of attraction, positive affirmations. So anything positive that comes my way.
I love that. Yes, I'm a big law of attraction girl as well.
Good.
That's great. Okay, so is there any book or any thought leader who has inspired you the most in your professional life?
Well, I mean, thought leaders, you know, we had, you know, the man who took a long walk to freedom, to the one who had a dream, to, you know, the one that wanted to be the change, you know, that he wanted to see, and to the woman who wanted to, you know, feed the world. You know, and we were all benefactors of their work and their sacrifices. So I have been inspired by so many people. As I say, I'm still inspired. You know, yeah, you know, to the people, the members I meet, to the people who get in contact, to share their stories, to invite me to speak, you know, to go places. I'm absolutely humbled and heartened by the willingness and the hunger to change, to see that our profession is reflective of the communities that we are seeking to serve.
That's great. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So now my final question for you is this. As our theme this year is Dare to Dream on this series, if you could have any superhero power, what power would you choose and why?
If I could have any superhero power, I would not want to be in 100 years' time still talking about isms, whether that's racism, sexism, no forms of discrimination. I would just want to wave my wand and we all, start from the same point, that we're all kind, in a world where you can be anything, and that's somebody else's quote, but in a world where you can be anything, be kind. So I would just kindness, very sprinkle dust with kindness all over.
That's a great superhero power, because we're all human. We just want that kindness spreading through. That's awesome.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, for that. Now, this question is not on there, but from our conversation, I do want to add one more thing, just because we have a little bit of time.
Mm-hmm.
Was becoming the president of the Law Society of England and Wales always the goal? And why was that the goal?
No, because when I joined council in 2013, I didn't know the mechanics of how it worked. I didn't know the route to become president. And no, I didn't join to become president. But after about 2 years of watching people, putting themselves forward, and it wasn't after 2 years, actually, because I put myself forward in 2015, having joined in 2013. I think I just decided that, go for it. You can, as I say, you're just as capable, qualified as anybody else who'd put themselves forward. And I felt that I knew I was going to do things differently. Somebody said to me earlier today about, oh gosh, what was it? Something about, do you feel that you have done it your way? Absolutely. Absolutely. I've done it my way. I will continue to wave the flag for equality, diversity, inclusion with my particular focus on social mobility, public legal education, because we need to understand and know about our justice system, not when we come to it, because in my mind, that's too late. We need to think about the justice system as a national treasure like the NHS. But also, as I say, access to justice. There are huge parts of this country, England and Wales, this jurisdiction, where people struggle to find a solicitor. And then if they find a solicitor, due to the continuous cuts to public funding, they cannot afford a solicitor. And that cannot be right in a progressive, modern, diverse society such as ours.
Thank you so much for answering that. Right, Stephanie, thank you for joining us today. Guys, you heard it here. You've heard the wisdom pouring out of Stephanie, and you've heard how she's just inspired me, and I hope you're all inspired by that. Stephanie, thank you for all that you do. And guys, that's a wrap from me. If you don't follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and obviously our website as well. And that's me signing out, Stephanie. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.